Number 29, how many real solutions does the equation x squared minus 2x plus 5 have? Justify your answer. Remember, justify means to explain or show work. Now, I have two ways to show you to do this. Way one, here's what I'm going to tell you to do verbally is put into your calculator, graph it, and notice that this parabola does not cross the x-axis. Now, if this is what you did, then the justification on your exam paper would read something as simple as I put x squared minus 2x plus 5 into my y1 of my calculator. Since it did not cross the x-axis, it would have 0 real solutions. This would give you full credit because you are communicating with the grader that, a complete process of what you did. You understood what it's asking you. You didn't do it algebraically, but you still got your answer. Now, the second way is to do the quadratic formula. Now, in this case, if you have x squared minus 2x plus 5, remember the quadratic formula helps you solve quadratic equations. My a value is my x squared's coefficient, my b is the x's coefficient, and my c is this constant. So I'm going to plug all of these values in, negative, -2, plus or minus -2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5, all over 2 times 1. From there, I plugged in all my values, I simplified, and I came down to x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of -16 over 2. Now, since square root of -16 is a non-real answer, the graph has no real solutions. Okay, so you have two possible ways, algebraically or putting it into your calculator. But if you do it, you have to explain completely what you did. Number 30 says the number of carbon atoms in a fossil is given by this function. Now, you should know that your exponential growth and decay is of this formula, where A is your starting amount, B is your rate as a percent, X is your time, and then plus or minus depending on if you're using growth or decay. The number of carbon atoms in a fossil is given by this equation. They're asking you what is a percent of change. Again, explain your answer. Now, I rewrote this as basically this. My starting amount is 5,100. So now, since I'm telling you that it's 1 plus or minus something, 1 minus what gives you 0.95? Well, 1 minus 0.05 gives you 0.95. So therefore, this value is the rate of change. Your answer would be 5%, however, because you need to convert that back to percent because they're asking for a percent of change. Now, explain how you arrived at your answer. Imagine you were verbally describing this to someone. Explain. I arrived at my answer because the formula for exponential growth or decay is y equals, a times 1 plus or minus b to the x. Since we have 0.95 in the parentheses, it had to have been 1 minus 0.05, and 0.05 represents b, the rate or percent of change. And then you have to convert this to percent by multiplying it by 100, and you get 5%. Number 31, talking about the path of a rocket, is basically an upside-down parabola. In order to get that graph, I am going to put -16t squared plus 64t into y1. Unfortunately, I'm just going to put it in as that. I'll be right back. I put it in my calculator as such. I graph it. It's kind of hard to see, so what I'm going to do is change my window. My x minimum being 0, my maximum x value be 6, my minimum y value, and my maximum y. I think it reaches a maximum height of like 50 or something. Again, because we're dealing with a path of a rocket in time, this axis is time. You can't have negative values for time. And then for the height of the rocket, you obviously can't have negative values. So this is why I changed the x minimum and y minimum to 0. So if I graph it, no, it's not high enough, so I'll just change it to 75. Okay, so notice that this right here represents 0 seconds. Okay, now we're at 1 second, now we're at 2 seconds, now we're at 3 seconds, and we are at 4 seconds. So it looks like at 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4 seconds, this rocket hits the ground. So they want to know, determine the domain for this function in the given context. The domain, or x values, well, in this case, t values, because that's your x-axis, is represented by time in seconds. The domain is all t values between 0 and 4. The domain is all t values between 0 and 4 because the rocket hits the ground at t equals 4.